Hi! I'm Chinyele.
And I'm Alana.
And we're both from Faith Village. How are you all doing, children? It's been a long time since we've seen you in church. But I hope you're having great fun doing all the online activities that Julie's put on for you. I hope you're having fun doing with your families, watching the videos, doing the Bible stories. I really hope you're having fun doing lots of other things too.
Since it's been Easter, I hope you haven't been eating too many Easter eggs. Let Julie know which one is your favourite activity. We hope to see you very soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Hi everybody. Isn't it great to hear from your teachers today about how much they are missing you? Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll get quite a few more of your teachers who are going to be sending you messages, so look out for those on the videos. I've got a little bit of a friend here with me today. Here he is, he's called Obi. He's been telling me a little bit about some of the things that have been going on for him at home and how sad, I mean, if you look at him, he looks a bit sad, how sad he's been that his brothers have been quite horrible to him. He sings really well. Do you want to hear one of his songs? Let me see if he will say something to you and sing to you. There he is. Well done. Okay, so what he was saying was that because his brother's been horrible to him, he flew away for a while, and he thinks that his brothers will forget about him. And the story is a little bit about that today, where one of the boys in the Bible, his brothers were really horrible to him, and a lot of things happened to him in his life. But God looked after him and God took care of him. So we'll be listening and hearing about that in the next few weeks, about how God will look after you and how God will take care of you if you trust in him. So for now, let's listen to the next part of the story. See you in a minute. Bye.
I say this because I know what I have planned for you, says the Lord. I have good plans for you. I don't plan to hurt you. I plan to give you hope and a good future. Then you will call my name and you will come to me and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will search for me, and when you search for me, all your heart will find me.
Hi, welcome back. It's time for story. So I haven't got any children to read the story to because you're all safe at home with your mums and dads and the rest of your family. But I have found somebody to listen to the story with me this morning. Can you see them behind me? They're all sitting really nicely on the chair, and they've been really very well behaved, but if you do start to see them jumping up and down and being a little bit mischievous, can you let me know, because I can't see them behind me? Okay, let's start the story. Joseph and the Jonas brothers. Joseph was one of 12 brothers, and they lived on a farm with their dad, the stepmothers, in a land called Canaan. On the farm there were sheep, goats, and lots of cows. There were fat cows, skinny cows, and somewhere in between cows. I like cows. And Joseph loved them all. Joseph's brothers were called Reuben, the strong one, Simeon and Levi, the fighty ones, Judah, the one they called the lion, and Issachar, who laughed like a donkey. There was also Dan, the peacemaker, Naphtali, the shy one, Gad, the chatterbox, Asher, the cook, Zebulun, the fisherman, and Benjamin, who was the greedy guts. Joseph was the second youngest, So he was older than Benjamin, but younger than Zebulun. He was the one that they called the dreamer, because Joseph had dreams that he was more important than any of his brothers. And for this, his brothers hated him. They were also very jealous because their dad, Jacob, had given Joseph a rainbow coat. They thought that he loved his second youngest son more than the rest of them. It isn't fair, they said. Why does Dad like him more than us? And one day, when Joseph's brothers were out looking after the flocks and the herds, they were far, far, far away in the furthest part of the farm. It was where the sweetest grass for the sheep, goats, and cows grew. Joseph was not with them, and they spent all of their time gossiping and grumbling about the boy that they called the dreamer, which was their brother. "Where's that lazy dreamer today?" said Gad. "Sucking up to Dad, I bet." "He's probably getting another present," said Simeon. "I hope he chokes on it," said Asher. And Issachar laughed and laughed. And then, to their surprise, Joseph arrived. "Look, here comes the dreamer," said Gad. And they all start teasing and calling him names. "Daddy's boy," said one. "Loser," said another. Joseph was so upset that he sat down on a rock and he cried, wiping his eyes with the sleeve of his rainbow robe. "Cry, baby," shouted the bullies, which made Joseph feel even worse. While Joseph was crying, his brothers came up with an evil plan. "Why don't we kill him?" suggested Simeon. "We can pretend that a wild animal came along and attacked him. Then we'll see what happens to his dreams." All the boys thought this was a great idea, all except Reuben, who was the eldest, who knew how much their father loved Joseph, and he didn't want to make his dad sad. "Why don't we just toss him in that dry well over there?" he suggested, thinking to himself that he could come back later and he could rescue him. But to his brothers he said, "We can leave him overnight to give him a fright." Judah was very relieved to hear that Reuben would say this, and because he didn't want to hurt Joseph either. But despite being nicknamed the Lion, he didn't have the courage to tell his brothers that they were wrong. The other boys didn't want to let Joseph off so easily, but they did do what Reuben said. They took Joseph, they tore off his robe, and they tossed him down a well. Poor Joseph begged them to let him go, but they wouldn't listen. So eventually he got down on his knees and he prayed, "Dear God, please help me. Please don't let them hurt me." Then he waited to see what God would do. Well, later on that day, Reuben went off to find a missing calf, leaving Joseph and the rest of his brothers alone. To Judah's dismay, they again started to plot to kill Joseph. Judah really should have run to tell Reuben, but he didn't. Instead, he suggested that they sell Joseph to a group of merchants passing by on their way to Egypt. At least they won't kill him, he thought, as he glumly took 20 silver coins in payment for his little brother. When Reuben got back, he was furious. He was furious to see that Joseph had gone. He really should have run and told his dad, but he didn't. He was too scared that he might get into trouble for not stopping the plan in the first place. So instead, he told his brothers to dip Joseph's robe in blood and take it home to their father, making up a story that he'd been killed by a wild animal. Poor Jacob, He was broken-hearted. He thought his dear son had died. As he was crying, Reuben and Judah looked at each other, knowing that they really should tell the truth. But they didn't. So as far as anyone else knew, Joseph was gone forever. But you'll be glad to hear that God had other ideas for Joseph. And next week we'll find out what those other ideas are and what those other ideas, how they came out of a big plan that God had got for Joseph. And even though he was scared, he was frightened, and he really didn't understand what was going on at the time, he really trusted that God knew he had a plan for him, and he really trusted in God. He spoke to him, prayed to him, and God answered his prayers because Joseph was so faithful, and he never stopped believing that God had got a good plan for him. So as you go through this week, remember that God has got a plan for you. Even though you're young children, it really doesn't matter. You have still got a plan in God's eyes. He still loves you. He loves you so much, and he wants you to know that his plan is amazing for you as you trust in him. Enjoy your week. I really miss you, and I hope to see you all really soon. And we look forward to the next part of the story next week. And isn't it great that my little friends behave themselves? Bye for now.
Hi guys, I'm just going to do a quick song. The kids, I've got Sam to film it for me. The kids have done all the work today and they've done really good, ain't ya? I did ask Josh to come and sing with me, but he's a bit shy. So we're going to sing. He might join in because sometimes he does join in with the song. So. Bless you. I hope Chewie's dancing was good. Bye.
Coats and Dreams by Bob Hartman. Joseph dreamed, his brother schemed, and when it was all through, God dreamed Joseph's dream with him, and Joseph's dream came true. Joseph was the favourite son of Jacob, his old dad, so Joseph did a lot of things that made his brothers mad. He snitched on them when they did wrong. That really got their goat, but what they hated most of all was Joseph's lovely coat. Jacob made it many-coloured, reds and golds all round, while all the other brothers had to wear were coats of brown. and brown. Then Joseph started having dreams.
I think this is a sign. We all have sheaves of wheat, and yours bowed down to mine. And then I dreamed that you were all stars, and Father was the sun. You all joined Mum, the moon, to honour me as one.
That really was the final straw. The brothers were fed up. The time had come, they all agreed, to deal with this proud pup. So when they got him on his own, out in the fields one day, they grabbed him and they made a pact to take his coat away.
We'll take his life as well, they cried, and end this dreamer's dream, or say a lion ate him up.
It was an evil scheme. And then one brother said as much. Reuben was his name.
I will not take my brother's life. I will not take the blame. Let's put him in this pit. Let's make him stew and pout.
He hoped to come back later on and pull his brother out. But just as soon as Reuben left, some traders wandered by.
Let's sell the dreamer as a slave.
Brother Judah cried. 20 silver coins they got. Then they killed a goat and took its blood and spread it on the many-coloured coat. They showed it to poor Jacob to prove his son had died, while off to Egypt Joseph went, a slave, all bound and tied. Joseph dreamed, his brothers schemed, and when it was all through, God dreamed Joseph's dream with him, and Joseph's dream came true.